7, 8, 9, 10. This is Chad Bear, and you're listening to My Alien Life.
My Alien Life Podcast.
Three, two, one, zero, and liftoff.
Yeah, I know, that's really interesting. How's everybody doing? Welcome to My Alien Life Live podcast, and I am Cameron Logan. Hi, Dave. Hope you showed up. Dennis, I hope you showed up. I see out there somewhere. Chris Barnes, good morning. It is approximately, what is it, Chris? 2 a.m. there? You're just getting up for work. God bless you, man. You may want to explain what you do for a living, but he takes care of about, how is it, hundreds, 50 women? Not women, girls. Hi, Amanda. How are you? Getting the girls ready this morning. Amanda Lester's here. Nice to see you. David, I'm so glad you're here. How are you? I know, I'm pretty sure you can see that green button out there, and if you ever want to just join in, you know, it'll give me warning. You can join in and start talking at any time. Got to move away from the video here, so welcome. Welcome to Whining About Aliens. Cheers. Happy New Year. So are we going to talk about, we're going to answer your automotive questions or relationship questions first? What's your pleasure? Wait for a few people to get on. Had a pretty good response. There's quite a few people that answered the call. 250 cows. Wow. I never thought about that. You have to feed them too. What is there, like 25 people working for you this morning? Talking to Chris Barnes. He's a worker, man. He is a worker. That's the word tonight, one. And it does, yeah, it's 2 a.m. in England. Glad to have you along, Chris Barnes, Amanda Lester, Dave Ross. Yeah, one is the word. It doesn't have anything to do with you as one, but it's a good word to precede other words like one nation, one world, one universe. So, gonna make the best of it. We're just gonna roll, I guess. Wait, and everybody will just kind of pile in as we go along. So I hope that everybody can join in. I think Dave and Dennis usually join in. Hopefully they will be here tonight. Bear with my voice. So let me just talk about a few things. I think one of the things that you'll notice is everything's backwards. The mic's on the other side, so I'm having a hard time judging distance and be able to read and see, but make it work. Make it work here. Okay. So I just want to talk first about, to clear the air a bit, about free speech. We don't own free speech, we earn it. So if, for example, you crash my Facebook group or page and post content that 10% of my listeners would have an objection to, I usually block those people. You would have absolutely blocked me if I started messing with your line of communication. So we have an understanding there. So Facebook has invited us here for free to use this forum. They have a bottom line. They have to appeal to the greater masses. Otherwise, their bottom line suffers. So, for example, if FedEx showed up and said, "Here's your fucking package, bitch," their bottom line would indeed suffer. So, you can't walk into 7-Eleven and insult somebody over and over and over again. The probability of getting smashed in the face with an energy drink will greatly increase. So, that's what I have to say about freedom of speech. We're allowed to use these forums on communication because there are rich people out there, and they cut our bottom line and at the same time increase their own by being reasonably tasteful. So God bless America. God bless Canada. God bless England and the UK. God bless Ireland, Australia, Germany, and of course, Estonia, where I remain number 13 on the same list that I'm sure isn't very accurate. So I hate having to say that, but on the other side of the coin, I love you guys. I love you all, guys and girls. You mean the world to me. We have a lot in common, so let's not ruin it for me. Let's not ruin it for each other. Let's not ruin it for you. So we're here to talk about the mysteries of the universe and not the mysteries of our human condition. So keep in mind that we're here for a very short time. And when I mean we are here for a very short time, we are here on this earth for a very short time. That's a whole other show. We're going to do that in the next 2 months. But we, as humans, are short-timers here. We're very complex beings and require a great deal of element to our survival. An anthropogenic end doesn't have to be imminent. So let me just check in to see if anybody has anything. Chris Barnes already. Wow, Chris is on it. He says, so Nick Pope definitely believes in 180 days, U.S. government will release documents on UAP thoughts. Well, I've shared my opinion numerous times on that, and it's not in the COVID bill. That was 3,553 pages of pork, which that's not unusual. I mean, people were complaining about it, and the only reason they're complaining about it because they were really looking it up for like the first time ever and discovering that's what a bill looks like. There's another document, 144 pages, and basically in our system in the United States, it goes to committee first. It's a bill, and that's what happened. So that one went to committee, and its status right now is introduced. So if you go right online and look at our Congress, any of the websites that would, and that was, I'm trying to think of who introduced that bill. Ted Cruz? Maybe not. I think it came from Texas. However, it goes to the committee, and it's introduced to the committee. And they have a certain time to address that. And if they don't, it just dies. And that's what's called dying in committee. So when it dies in committee, it's just gone. So right now it's in jeopardy of dying in committee. It was just introduced. I think it was on the 2nd. But, you know, there's so many things going on right now. For example, when Congress, our House of Representatives and our Senate loses one day, that sets us behind for a very, very long time. And so, yeah, that day, it's hard to make it up. And we've lost more than a day. But we're looking at, 180 days from when that bill becomes a law. And I could be wrong. There could be some avenue that they have found, but I don't think so. So we're looking probably at 180 days plus, and that's got to become a law. So they pushed the law like the COVID bill through really quick. And so, that was one of those things that was imperative. But again, there was over 5,000 pages in addition to that. And basically, we were looking at our budget for the next year. So, and then things went a little bit crazy. And Jason's here talking about crazy. Hey, Jason, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us. Jason, I see that name pop up all the time. So it's good to see him here tonight. And if you have any friends who are looking for something to do and are tired of watching the news, click on them and have them join in with us. Again, the word tonight is one, a beautiful word to precede so many things that are good in life. I could have easily put unity up here, but one is the word tonight. So one world, one universe. Let's make the best of it. I wanted to talk about coming up. We have an amazing month and a half. Actually, about a really good 3 months, but a lot of that's still in the works. One of my favorite things is finding new people to join the show, to come on as guests. So we have many people coming on. This month, we're looking at right away next week. We're going to have many people that have had sightings in the Berkshires, and that was in 1969. Kind of known as the Berkshire UFO sighting incident in Berkshire County, Massachusetts. In 1969, 4 unrelated families alleged being abducted by a UFO and moved by a ray of light. Now, that was 4 families who were abducted. Keep in mind that in addition to the 4 families that were abducted, there was many, many people. At one time, I heard as many as 250, but we'll get the straight scoop on that next week. But in one night, so many people had experiences with these lights and UFOs, and the whole town was just crazy. So I'm not sure how many at this time, but we're going to get a firm number on that. And we'll go into that over and over again in detail. But Thomas Reed will be here. And Jennifer, she's from the Berkshire Eagle. That's the newspaper there. Will also be on the show. And she's covered that event in great detail and knows all the key players. And supposedly there may be a couple more people that were in that town that day of that abduction, including one of the abductees. So that would be amazing if we could do that. Yes, we're here for a good time, not a long time. That's a Canadian right there, man. It's just, yeah. That's a good positive spin, Dave. I love it. And then Wayne White, this dude, wow. He has an incredibly unusual job. He'll be here, and he lives and works in the South Pole. So I want to dig in and find out what strange things are in the sky of the South Pole and under the South Pole. And I'm assuming that, he's there studying the South Pole as we're eventually, may have to live there someday. So not me, you guys might, but I won't be living in the South Pole anytime soon. Peter Robbins, I think you that are here right now with me know exactly who Peter Robbins is. He's a good guy. He's going to be here. And, of course, I will see if I can come up with things that you've never heard Peter Robbins say and pick his brain for things that he hasn't talked about in the past, or maybe even I haven't talked about. And then Dr. Lawrence Krauss. That's a big one for me. He'll be here. He has a tremendously successful podcast with very famous people. Like I know Brian May was on there and Ricky Gervais. He's an American-Canadian theoretical physicist and cosmologist who previously taught at Arizona State and also Yale University. And he's the founder of the ASU's Origin Project, now called ASU Interplanetary Initiative, to investigate fundamental questions about the universe. And he served as the project's director. So I think he still is the project director. So exciting to have him on. He's got a great show. He's just a super, super smart guy. And if you ever wanted to talk to anybody about theoretical physics, that's the man. And then we're also having another amazing Another amazing physicist, Dr. Avi Loeb, will be here. He's an Israeli-American theoretical physicist, and he works on astrophysics and cosmology. He's a Frank B. Baird Junior Professor of Science at Harvard, and he's been the longest-serving chair of Harvard's Department of Astronomy for about the last 9 years, and he's the founding director of Harvard's Black Hole Initiative since 2016 and director of the Institute for Theory and Computation since '07 within the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. Amazing, interesting guy. He's a American Academy of Arts and Sciences and Physical Society scholar, and with the International Academy of Astronautics. In 2018, he was appointed as chair of the board of the Physics and Astronomy of the National Academies, which is the Academy's forum for issues connected with the fields of physics and astronomy, including oversight in their decadal surveys, which means basically he oversees their surveys, scientific surveys, for 10 years. So where scientists may have projects at a university for a year, 2 years, the decadal surveys are 10 or more years, and it's an intense investigation into different things that have to do with astronomy and physics, and those two combined. And he has been in the news in the last week, and I know everybody listening right now or will be listening later has read about him. One of the most scientific and large news outlets, they've been covering him and discussing his book called Extraterrestrial, The First Sign of Intelligent Life Beyond Earth. It's going to be out on the 26th. He describes, Dr. Avi Loeb describes his journey to a radical position on the strange interstellar visitor that has been dubbed Oumuamua. I think that's how it's pronounced. Forgive me if not. That's that cigar shaped object that whizzed through our solar system in 2017. He wrote a book about that. Now, right here in front of me, when I'm looking at this, the description about the book, it actually says a cigar or disc-shaped object that whizzed through our solar system in 2017, and he's surmising that it's disc-shaped, and we'll get more into that. Being that it was so far away, we've had a good look at it from many astronomers worldwide, but I think it was one of those things that they were trying to put together what it would look like, and they were always assuming that it would have to be an interstellar object made of stone or ice. So when we saw illustrations depicted on the news, that was only an artist rendition. So they knew it was long and they knew it was thin, but that's it. That's pretty much what they knew on that. So that's really interesting that he reads into that could be something other than a chunk of rock or a chunk of ice or both. So that'll be interesting. And again, his name is Dr. Avi Loeb, and he'll be on next week. And got a bunch of other stuff in the works. Some very interesting other people who have agreed to be on, but so far we haven't come to a date yet. And keep in mind too that I don't want to bounce you around to different podcasts, but I have another podcast, and these folks, a couple of them will also be on both podcasts. So there could be a little bit more on those other podcasts than would be on My Alien Life. And the ones that are existing right now are very interesting. And even though you may not be interested in things that are subject matter on that podcast, they're pretty awesome. And I would wish you would check those out. People ask me, it's funny because I have a podcast about aliens and ET and paranormal and all things related and or not. And I have a mainstream podcast which could encompass some of those same people, but it also has musicians. People will always ask me, my alien life. Oh, you believe, or do you believe in aliens? You know, nobody ever asks me about the other podcasts. They never ask me, oh, do you believe in music, or do you believe in art? You know, I mean, it's really strange, but I think we're becoming more and more conditioned to deal with both. And I think we're more and more inclined to have people talk about both, but, you know, I think it's one of those things that opens up the lines of communication and lets us talk about things other than that shit, just stuff that gets under our skin, you know, not even going to name it. So I want to say Chris Barnes, Dave. Yeah, that's Tom Reed. That's exactly the same guy. THOM. Tom Reed will be here. That's the one. So he's on Facebook. If you look up Berkshire's UFO 1969, you're going to get just a ton of information. And it's just super interesting. Just this huge mass sighting. And from all over the county, you know, and for at least a few hours, things were just going crazy. And some people were affected greatly by that and had a real hard time with it. And there's a lady, hopefully, that will be on, and I believe her name is Melanie, and she was an abductee and just started talking about it. So hopefully we can have her. My favorite performer on the podcast, that my music legend in my mind, is Marshall Crenshaw, and I've been listening to him since I was in 1982. So it's a great story about when I first heard him until I got to meet him on, you know, via the phone to do a podcast. And he lives a pretty simple life in New York, and he actually had to walk to the post office in the dark, almost dark, to podcast with me, because that was the place where he got the best phone reception. And I just think the world of that. And wow. So not only was it a great honor for me to be able to interview him, but the amount of time and effort that he took to actually do that was super incredible. So I love the fact that he was able to do that. Chris Barnes is saying, so any more on BJ Evans? Because that was one epic show. Takes a lot, but I was speechless. And yeah, man. So I was speechless. So I probably had more input on that show, more comments than any other show, and I'm still getting them. One in particular was a woman who just keeps messaging me, and her mind is blown and she can't sleep, and she was kind of emotional about it, and I have to say I was too. I still don't even understand what that was. There's 3 podcasts, and I'd like to go back and listen to them. Originally I wanted to put all 3 together, make it one big long podcast, but I think that's probably like 4.5, 5 hours, something like that, and maybe more. And so that would be a bit much, but it'd be cool to have it up there for the whole thing. A road trip or something. I mean, just for me, because I'd like to listen to the whole thing. But you know, I gotta digest that in a different way, because, you know, I wasn't allowed to do my normal, usual routine, because when somebody contacts me and then just kind of out of the blue, I got all these questions, and I didn't have that many, maybe 10. And, you know, I got to ask one, and no, this is the way we got to do it this way. And obviously there was 2 people there. So I thought it was a bit of a joke at first. And so I was waiting to hear what I was going to hear. And I could hear these guys talking, and they were trying to figure out, they could hear the computer on their end, but they couldn't get it to go through the phone or whatever they were trying to do. I have no idea. But they were using a phone app and the computer, and or actually, I just assumed a computer, but it was recorded, and the voice is manipulated, obviously, as you can hear. And, you know, so I was like waited and waited, and they kept going and kept going. And one time they screwed up and turned it off. And I actually heard BJ Evans a couple of times in his normal voice, because he's not the one who was on the phone the first time. And the next couple of calls were like, he just, are you ready? Yep, let's go. So I hit the button, hit record, and they just played this. And, so I had it for a while before I put the first episode on. And then, so I started doing number 3, and I really had a tough time with it. So it's in a lot of chunks, because they stopped and started so many times, and dropped calls, and then they have to back up, and they couldn't figure out how to start over where they started again. So there was overlap. One time there's a chunk missing, so they told me, and then they they played it, and I really didn't get any input of where it went, because I already had it on this Roadcaster that I have, and I had it recorded. So I had to throw it to GarageBand and move it around and put it together, and it was fine once I had it on there. But you could hear the different stops and starts, and I kind of made that apparent, because sometimes the sound quality wasn't the same as where it cut off. And I don't know, I was just wow the whole time. And Dave Ross is asking, did he send you any pics? He did, and that's on the website. If you just go to my page in My Alien Life or anywhere that I've posted stuff, you can go down and you can see the link on the webpage. It's on the My Alien Life portion of the webpage, and you just drop down and it's right there. I think there's like 5 pictures, and I have some paper too that I need to scan. When I just need to figure out what I'm going to do with it and how I'm going to do it. I was originally thinking about doing a podcast about it, but I don't really have a lot of information about it. I know what I'm looking at. I know what they said it was, or he said it was, or what they wrote me. So I got an email, I got real mail, a letter, and so I did write a little bit about this. I was going to talk about this. I think there was one more question about that. No, there was not. Okay, so what I did not let you in the fact that that I'd received an email and letter from Mr. Evans. Now I did originally, because that's what happened. I received an email, and then I got the call. But I got an email on Christmas Day, and a letter I'm assuming is about the same time. I don't check my mailbox often, so I'm guessing that's when it arrived. So I got actual email Christmas Day, and then I got the letter, which was sometime between Christmas Day and the 1st. Very, very odd communication. And I'm trying to figure out how to work that information again into a show, or just put it on the website. And I did say very, very odd. Now, meaning I'm just unsure what I read. I've read it like 20 times. There are a few things in there that sound like they could be real, but I can't imagine even how. I'll confer. I got a couple people who really were into this show, including one that I'm related to. So I'm going to bounce that around, and because it doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the story. He said he'll stay in touch, so in the email, and I'm sort of glad, but not really enthusiastic about it, because I spent so much time. So I published this last Sunday, and so I looked originally at the date on the file that I saved it on my computer in GarageBand, and it was still there. And I started on it on May 26th. So, as you know, I was thinking about dropping the show for a while, but I still worked on it. because I could have put that on any show. So I started that on May 26th and I got done last Sunday. And it sucked. I mean, it was really hard to put that together, because it sounded horrible. And, I had to manipulate the video a little bit, and there's a little bit of background stuff in there, and some of that's me, some of that's him. You had to have a little white noise just to even things out, because it sounded rough. And, anyway, I liked it. And, so again, I have a listener who said she can't stop thinking about it. And I agree, ma'am. I can't stop thinking about it either. So, ask me questions about that. So one of the things that is confusing about the email was that, he said, I'm doing great and I feel great. And I don't even know how that could be, because he wasn't feeling great. And, I thought, he was not going to make it because I hadn't heard from him. I also, had the one picture of him that somebody took, and I'm assuming whoever he hangs out with, they were panhandling and trying to get money for gas. And I think he said they were by Portland somewhere, Portland, Oregon. And, he was ultimately, or trying to get to his sister's house in Las Vegas, and that's where he was staying. And the letter has, I mean, he said I'm doing great. I mean, the letter, like, I know it's a blood smear or chocolate, but I think I'm sure it's blood. I'm like thinking about it and wanting to make it something else, and it is what it is. So, he was a mess. The last time I talked to him, or last time, he was just fed me some information recording, and, he's doing great, feeling great. So he had no money, no job, no nothing. Basically just a few belongings that he threw together, and hanging out with this guy that I can only assume is homeless and whatever, and in the same predicament. And, yeah, so he's doing well. Anyway, so yeah, ask questions about that, because, I'd like to talk about it. It'd be a little bit therapeutic, because, I see people like that, or, this case, I did not get to see him, but, I want to do something. And, he wouldn't answer, if there was something I could do. And, I mean, and when I said that, I wasn't going to, I could do very little, but, I thought maybe if somebody else wanted to, they could too. But, wow, it was a weird one. It's still weird. Yeah, Dave, he sent me some pictures, and I had those. And what I was referring to maybe prior was the fact I thought I only had 4 photos at the time, maybe on that second podcast. But then, I had what I published on the website, and then I have some paper, and I'll probably publish the letter or do something with the letter, either in conjunction with the website, or, whatever, another podcast. I don't know. I'm not really into figuring that out at the moment. So, but I'm going to do it, and we'll do it, and it'll be all right. Allison Yeloney, hope you're out there. Say hi. Becky, say hi if you're there. Dave Emmons, Dennis, Russ Kellett. Are you listening? Russ Kellett, you guys know, I'm sure, who Russ Kellett is. An infamous guy in Britain who has had some harrowing ET experiences. And, yeah, Russ is kind of an amazing dude. He's got an amazing story. And I did a podcast. I'm guessing that was more than a year ago that I did, and I really haven't heard anything from Russ, but I'd like to hear something from Russ. He's a good man. Nice to talk to him, and nice to hear about his alien life. And I'm trying to hook him up with this right now, so bear with me, because he had asked to join, and everything I normally do on this podcast is a little bit backwards at the moment. So bear with me 1 second here. Try to set Russ up. There we go. Hunter Brown, how are you? Glad to have you along. Jason, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but I'm glad to see you. Bruce Solheim, he's going to be on the show. And very, very interesting guy. Looking forward to that one. That one's coming up in about 3 weeks. Yeah, Dave. Russ Kellett rather, is a soldier, and you guys should listen to that podcast. We have people out there who have great alien experiences. They have good alien experiences. They have mediocre experiences and horrible experiences. And not only that, horrible experiences that they can't control, and horrible experiences that keep occurring over and over and over again. Not when they're kids, but, even into adulthood. And so Russ is one of those people who has had those kind of experiences, and it's a good listen. He has a website with newspaper articles. He's appeared on the news and been in all kinds of articles in Britain. So his name's Russ Kellett, Kellet, Kellett. You can find him on Facebook right now, and you can look at his photos. His photos have newspaper clippings, and I read all about him before I even asked him to be a guest, and that was one of those occasions too where I had no idea what I was going to get into, and it was totally unexpected. So I think you can hear that in my voice. I was shocked. So Jason, where are you going? Jason's going. So this is interesting because I was going to bring this up. Jason is going to some UFO sightings when spring comes. I was pondering whether or not to go back to my old stomping grounds, which is about a 3-hour drive from here, where I used to see things in the night and in the sky, especially prior to me maybe turning 18 years old. I'll say 20, because I was still kicking around there in the summer at the time. But it's a great place to go to see some action, and I thought it'd be cool to take one of you with me. And the nearest airport is 110 miles, but of course I would come and get you and take you out in the middle of nowhere. Just that experience alone is enough. I mean, it's good. And I know that there's no doubt in my mind that, we'll see some eviscerated cattle. For sure. That's a given. Either where they fell or where they later ended up, because the rancher, it's just not even an issue anymore. It happens, and they go push them over this little cliff and into this drainage, and that's where they stay. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. And this time, though, I want to go with night vision. So, figured out a way to procure that. So I'm looking into that. Of course, we have COVID. I believe I got a notice, and this is completely related to my other life, but that I'm next in line to get a vaccination. So, I'll be glad before that, I spent most of this week waiting to figure out if my son had COVID. That was my youngest son. So my daughter right now has COVID, and she will be through her 2-week COVID period this coming up Saturday. So about a week, yeah. So she basically came down with symptoms. She thinks she got it. It'll be a week, or it was a week. I'm sorry. She didn't think she got it last Saturday. She thought she got it the Tuesday prior, which would have put it the Tuesday right after Christmas. So, she thinks that this coming Tuesday she's over it. And I said, no, I mean, you noticed symptoms on last Saturday. So her symptoms have been very, very mild. She said it's the weakest cold she's ever had. But as you know, you have these people who have a story and they tell us that, it could just go south in no time, and it has. And my older son, so I have 3 kids, and so my daughter has it now. She's the middle. My oldest son had it, and couldn't taste anything or smell anything for 2 weeks, and that was the worst of it. So there's all this crap online about nobody knows anybody who has COVID. Well, I know people who actually died from COVID, so they weren't super close to me, but in miles, they were very close to me. And but yeah, thanks, man. She'll recover from it, Jason. Yeah, Dave. Thanks, David House. Thanks for bringing that up. he says he has a friend that just got over it for the second time. So yeah, I know. There's that. Yeah, Dave. I saw Dave. You got your vaccination. So did you have any symptoms or any? What was that like? Tell me, because I haven't really talked to anybody that has it, and I just got notified Thursday, I guess it was, that I'm in the second round coming up, but I don't really know when that will be. So Jason was threw in that comment about doing some UFO chasing. He's going to British Columbia, Canada, and that's cool. In the mountains, in the woods, or out in the open? A lot of west of Vancouver. It's got to be in the woods. I don't know. I have this theory that well, I would say from there to eastern Montana. I mean, right along the border, it's kind of a hot zone, and I don't know why, but seen some stuff. I think once you get west of or further east. I'm sorry, he's saying west of Vancouver. West of Vancouver is like the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. Let's see. Anyway, yeah. So UFO hunting. You know where I grew up? I grew up in and around nuclear missile silos, and just north of a big Air Force installation that had been there for a long time, Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls, Montana. And I've had, people on my podcast that worked in the missile silos there when the missile silos were shut down by some sort of sighting or light, can't be confirmed of what it was, but yeah. So Jason had an aunt that died. Sorry about that, dude, from COVID. And David House, no side effects. It's usually on the second. You got that to look forward to. Yes, Amanda, I know that somebody died of the vaccine, but you know what? I have some underlying conditions. One of them's that I get asthma so bad when I get a cold. Really bad for maybe 4 to 6 months. And that started like 10 years ago, which just became a thing. So the first 2 years that 2.5 years that I would get a cold, it was so bad. I never knew that I could get or even had asthma that bad. So it was crazy. Um, anyway, moving on. COVID is a worn out subject, but we'll address it if anybody else has questions. Jason, heading to the edge, water edge in the woods, mountains overlooking the water. Beautiful place, Vancouver. Wow. How far do you live from Vancouver? I think you mean Dulce Vase or Dulce Base, David. Yeah. Oh yeah. We've heard of that. Yes, we have. In detail from people who were there. If you look at my mic, you can see I have a lot of tape. I mean, for some reason today, these little chrome bits and the screw is so bright it was reflecting and making a mess of the video. So I'm in a different room, and I kind of have a dual setup. So I thought I'd give this a try. I don't like it as much, but it's quieter. I was hoping for better sound quality. I'm reading you guys. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Canada, where Dave is, only 100 cases, no deaths, no hospitals, maybe 7 active cases. That's because you're doing it right, man. Um, who am I to complain about how things have been done? But I mean, where I'm at, we've changed so many times, and that no until nobody really took it serious, and it's just going nuts. And for a long time where I was, it was where everybody wanted to be because it was like Prince Edward Island. I mean, we didn't have any cases really, and then all of a sudden it exploded because all these people were coming here, and I'm talking about people from Florida, Texas. Normally, this is a place right on the I'm on the Canadian border, so everybody from Alberta comes down here, and British Columbia comes down here on vacations. We ski. I'm right between 2 ski areas, just like 15 miles and 20 miles from another, right in the middle. I can see them both at the same time, and so they come here, and there was a few Canadians that stayed because they could, and Canadians can't get into the country at the moment because of COVID. So people from other states, and when our economy is based on tourism, we're having basically COVID tourism at the moment. And so I mentioned this so many times, but there's if people have an actual extra space in their yard, there's a camper, trailer, bus, whatever, and so a lot of people that I haven't seen before, and in and around the area here, and in the morning going places, get gasoline at we're fairly not a huge population, but it's like being in the city, waiting for gas, and it's crazy. So it's really changed. It's never been like this before, so this is a new thing. But hi, Sev, Tuck, how are you? We should get together and talk again someday. It's been a while. It's been over a year. Sev's book, How to Talk to Aliens. Really interesting person. Great to have her on the show. She's probably got a couple more in her. Jason is saying, since the pandemic started, seen 5 to 7 close encounters of UFOs, 2 in December. Was that in Canada or the United States? David House says the beach air helps his asthma. I'm pretty much on the beach, but this is a lake. Does it have to be ocean beach? It's cold here. Not that cold. Fairly mild for this time of year, but nonetheless. Actually, Sev is a beauty. I agree. And she's close to your age, Dave. That's an inside joke. They're both taken, I'm sure. What was I talking about? Oh, living on the lake. So this huge lake I live on, it actually makes it milder. Just maybe 4 miles north of me, there's 2 feet of snow, and I have no snow. So that's pretty common. And I kind of live under a dome, and many of you may identify with me living under this dome. And I haven't seen any of you in a while, but you lie low. But it's a figurative dome. It's a weather dome, so a little bit better weather. It'd be interesting living in a dome, under a dome. I like the stories. I like the take on the domed flat Earth, but that's one thing I'm not a believer of. But I listen and I learn. And David Weiss, who was on the show, just put together a hell of a presentation and was amazing. It was amazing to hear from the guy, because there's some flat earthers who are very confrontational, and there's some flat earthers who are kind of in hiding and don't do shows anymore, and it's because of their take on it. And David Weiss is awesome. He's got a good sense of humor about it, and it's a good listen, David House. I only am impressed because the man was so impressive. There you go. It wasn't the content, it was the context and how he put it together so valiantly, and his presentation deserved respect. There you go. And yeah. And he's probably saying that some of us are odd because we believe in UFOs. I think that dome would protect us. But then I have a theory. Now, this isn't a theory that I believe in, but I get a lot of questions about chemtrails. All right. So, yeah. So people ask me about chemtrails and my opinion, and I tell them it's the government. Yeah, it is. It is. And they're spraying for aliens. And there you go. So that's my theory. Doesn't necessarily believe it, but it could be. I mean, Jason saw 2 in December, and they were chased out of the area by military jets. Where was that? Same place? British Columbia? Let me know. God, I would love to go to Vancouver. Vancouver, British Columbia. Anywhere. Vancouver, Washington, I'd go to right now. We're into this 1 hour. You guys have been great. Aluminum oxide, Jason says. I'm assuming he's talking about chemtrails. Yeah, the aliens hate it. Aluminum oxide. They hate it. It gets on their skin, and they lose all the moisture in their body, just like a cockroach, and they die. It's like giving a cockroach boric acid. One. That's the word. Spread the word. We're one nation, one universe, one species. Apparently one species, assuming one species. If you look and see somebody else that resembles you, they odds are they're from the same species. So I'm not going to throw that out there and assume that we're all the same species. But yeah, let's treat everybody like we're from the same species. Yes, I do, David House. I do interview other podcasters. So type that name. So I've had, I was just texting him today, Screamin' Chewy, Chewy Paz, P-A-Z. He's got a podcast. It's called The Screamin' Chewy Show. And this guy, I guess he did the same thing I did. He put it together, except he had no experience. I had radio experience and stuff, and I knew sound equipment, things like that. He threw it together. He's into it like 106 episodes, and I listened to a couple of pieces of them today, and he boldly goes and just gets anybody, and when I say anybody, I mean it could be he's getting authors and actors and whatever, and interviewing them in his own way. It's very unique, and I was thinking it was kind of cool because I don't know, you'd have to listen. I can't even tell you why it's so unique. I mean, it's just raw, but it's clean, and it's when I say clean, I mean it's put together well, and it's a nice show. I'm losing you guys. You're messaging too much, and my microphone's in the way. Yeah, David, there was Jason. What's Jason's name that has? I can't think of his last name. He published a UFO magazine and etc. Friends with Ryan Sprague. He's been on, and cool, Jason. So right over there by Vancouver on the inlet. Right on. Are you serious, David? You were abducted by 2 women aliens? I'd like to hear about that. I think I know where that story would go, though. Exactly, Chris. Treat people how you want to be treated. I would be a little bit more less inclined to be. Yeah. Wow, we have a lady from the Philippines who's listening. Amazing. Where at in the Philippines, ma'am? I speak a little Tagalog. I don't know the, what's the same name as a podcast? Tagalog, the one of the languages of the Philippines. Screamin' Chewy Show? Are we talking about the same show? David? Okay. Yeah, I had him on. I think was I on his podcast? No, but I would like to. I like the way he asks questions. It's just, I mean, he would be like, to me, he would, it would be crazy he would be like, what the F, man? All right. David Ross, one is a word I use while I'm meditating. That and the word calm. U2 has a good song, One. There's a lot of songs. There's a few songs called One. Now I'm just rambling. Somebody ask me a question, please. Miss Thompson in the Philippines says nice weather. She says not much. I don't know what that answer. So many of you know how I came to get some listeners in the Philippines and Southeast Asia. So I was going to the Philippines, and I was in Taipei. And that time I was abducted by aliens. Yeah, I've seen that. I think that podcast is. I was thinking it was on hold. I was thinking they haven't done one in a while. Anyway, I was coming back from the Philippines, and I wish I had this ID when I was going because I went in the bathroom and there's an amazing display of earplugs and crap in the bathroom, hand lotion and wipes and whatever. So literally, um, after we took off, which was going to be that like a 13-hour flight. I went in the bathroom and everybody would, 4 people would go to the bathroom and this whole supply of toiletries was gone. So I had this little pack with me and I had business cards in there. And one of the slots in this nice little wooden display that had the stuff in there fit business cards perfect. So I put like 50 business cards in there. And literally I didn't sleep. I would just, every half hour, I'd go to the bathroom and put business cards in there. And every single one of them disappeared. And when I got back, I had done podcasts before I left. So I published them while I was in the Philippines. I was there for 2 weeks and I did 2 a week. All I had to do was hit the button while I was there and they were up. But it was just popping up all over Indonesia, Hong Kong, the Philippines, Thailand. People were listening to the podcast there all of a sudden. And that hadn't happened before. And business cards. Isn't that what I said? Chris? Yeah, business cards. Anyway. So, because it's basically a hub there. And the Philippines, I mean, people go to their Southeast Asians go there to vacation. Philippines go to Thailand or Hong Kong or Japan or wherever, but they're bopping back and forth like we travel in our own state because it's cheap to do so. And so they gathered up my business cards and it was a great time. And it was nice to see that. All right, I'm going to read. 35 years ago, Jason said, aliens Greys abducted him. He was taken aboard a cigar-shaped craft, even had an encounter by MIB creepy characters. Why haven't you contacted me on this, dude? Would you like to be on a podcast? It's that easy. Let's do it. Let's do it. You can message me anytime. And that'd be fun. I know these folks that are listening tonight would love to hear it. William Poulin is live right now. Don't go watch William Poulin. Actually, he's great. I'm just saying. He's live a lot. David House, what do you think about people who talk about aliens giving us technology, or if we have recovered ships mean to what we have invented ourselves? It seems that we are not very inventive, or they have given us much. Do you think that's true? We're smart. We're smart. I'm going to have 2 of the smartest guys that you may ever get to hear in your lifetime this month, and they're amazing. Man, we went through a process and we took some lumps with our technology. I mean, there's a decent record of us inventing all these things. Now, what people don't usually put one and one together, but if we look back 500 years or 1,000 years, there was a lot of people, and there was a lot of people that lived around resources that aren't available readily right now. Like there was people who lived in places where oil was just coming out of the ground. There was people that lived in places where there was gold and iron and different things coming out of the ground. I heard one of the pyramids supposedly has a river of mercury. I don't know where that is. river of mercury. But there was all these raw materials, and it wasn't just one guy who went and gathered this material up. There were a lot of people doing a lot of things with these materials, and there was things that they did by necessity. Things, because this is me coming from me who was a former archaeologist, anthropologist. I mean, there was a lot of people who would learn things by accident, and food. Just take for food, for example, food related things and fermentation and things like that, purely discovered by accident because people didn't want to throw things away. So, the human mind is amazing, and you just watch a little kid. I just remembered, going to college and learning all about anthropology and Indians of the Southwest and Indians of the Midwest, and it was just amazing to me that they did what they did, with limited technology. In a lot of those places, they weren't running into raw material, and they were taking it with them. One of the things that kids are smart, and they learn from their parents, and especially when you have inventive parents and imaginative and intuitive, and people that are so in tune with the earth and the land and how and materials are gotten and made and whatever. But kids, I remember I used to give my son, when he was a little kid, like 2 years old, he'd have a roll of tape, and toilet paper tubes and the stuff he was coming up with like 2 years old. Grown adults, humans are so capable of doing so many things that technology wise, what have you seen around you that you can't explain or can't be explained, or there's no chain of invention, related to that, or patents, I mean, people there's people who put together, hundreds of patents. There's people in your neighborhood who have patented things and you don't even know about. So humans are amazing. Humans are amazing. Yes, David, I would love to hear the experiences story too. Yeah, I think we're smart. I mean, look at, Dave lives out, I was talking about Dave Ross, I was thinking of Dave Ross, the natives that lived on the East Coast, Northeast Coast in Canada, and the harsh winters and the hell that they went through, and people and natives that live, toward the Arctic Circle, north of the Arctic Circle, and what they could do with snow and ice, and how they could collect food there is miraculous. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Chris Barnes. I think we're clever, mate. Just a lot doesn't get shouted about. I know people, but there's people out there who deserve credit, and I'm not going to talk about Tesla and whoever. I'm not going to talk about Elon Musk because he's just paying people to. He's a smart guy, but if you had $1 billion, you could get together 5 of the smartest guys in the world, and you'd probably rule the earth pretty quick, because you could come up with some amazing things, and you would be rich, very rich. Jason, I do an audio podcast, so don't worry about video. You just need some headphones and your phone, and I'll make you sound amazing. So Jason has done some research in MIB, Men in Black, Grays, and the like. Yeah, I'm sort of interested in the MIB thing. If I just because the story, could be credible, especially, I don't know. Now I'm doing a double take. Judging by, Wednesday and our response to different things that happen on the on the planet, I can't imagine the U.S. government in charge of some dudes who chase down an alien craft and aliens and do anything with them. I mean, it would be really funny. I would love to hear it. Love to see it. Um, yeah, so far what we know, it's been a comedy. So it's a movie comedy, and it's been great. Love it. Um, yeah, Dave, necessity and safety controls much of our motivation. Yeah, safety, one of the things that, especially the Industrial Revolution, and then later on into the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and things used to be rather crude then. One of the reasons that the forming of unions were for safety purposes, and of course during 50s, 60s, 70s, in the 80s, when these unions were forming, they were losing some of this labor who would do such dangerous work, and by necessity, they had to create a way to manufacture without the loss of human arms and legs and lives. So there was some necessity there that we made things, and it was crazy. And even if you went into Silicon Valley, in California, during the startup of everything we know about the internet and how crazy that went. I mean, they were putting together manufacturing facilities of humans that were creating code and apps, and that flew together. Obviously, it's not, it changed with the hardware too, but that was all going on simultaneously. And you did have a guy who had billions of dollars, two of them, and they put together teams of miracles, of marvels of invention. So pretty awesome. All right. Let's throw down one more question. We're at 8:17 my time. It's late out in Prince Edward Island. Dave and I were talking earlier. I said, what time zone are you in, man? And he said the Atlantic. And I was like, wow. And forgot about that time zone. And so it's 3 hours instead of 2 hours, like it is in New York. It's 3 hours difference there. And then I was like, yeah, you're really spread out. But so is the United States. I mean, we have Hawaii Aleutian Island time zone. So, that's way far west. And so, yeah, we're spread out. What time zones? David House is in Central. All right. Anybody have any more questions? Thanks, everybody, for showing up. I see on the right-hand side, I can see over here, I see all these people that are listening, and then over here are the questions. And my microphone is in the way of the questions. Keep that in mind. One. Many time zones. Anybody get anything good for Christmas? You know what I got? What I used today was one of these gigantic air fryers. Pacific Standard Time, Jason. So I'm air frying this stuff. I don't even know what this means. I would love to look. Of course, I really didn't want to read the directions, but I believe in the technology of the air fryer. And it's not a thing that's passing in the night. Okay, we're talking about air fryers. This is what we've gotten to, guys. So ask some questions. So what I got for Christmas is a air fryer, and it's amazing. And especially the beauty of it is that this whole bottom comes out. It's got a big handle on it, and you just throw it in the dishwasher. So you can cook anything and it's a mess. Wipe it out with a paper towel, throw it in the dishwasher. And yeah, it's a time saver. It gives me more time to invent crap I put on the internet. That Echo Dot, I was looking at that. I do believe it's pretty cool. Jason got a ghost box. So you're into more paranormal than aliens. The SB7. I don't know. Is that a good one? The ghost box SB7. I'm going to look that up because now I'm intrigued by that's one thing I'm interested in. I'm not okay, that's a spirit box. I've looked it up before because it's highlighted in pink and it's on Amazon. It's $90. So it's a spirit box PSB7 for ghost hunting. And I was told that they don't like to be called ghost hunters. So Amazon, you're supposed to be leading the way in retail. You blew it. The text is too small. I can't read what it does. Here's some questions. How does it work? Is it just a radio? Yes, but you're scanning channels incredibly fast, and what you're actually listening to are for possible spirits speaking in between channels where you hear the white noise. Okay. What does this model say? Why does this model say AM and FM and all the others are only FM? You get scans of both AM and FM. Sometimes the frequency works better on AM than FM. Okay, that makes sort of sense. Does it show words received on a screen? Having words from previous session help me with SIM products? No. I bought this. That round speaker attachment thing no longer works. How do I find a replacement? Whatever. All right, so that's the spirit box. I always kind of wondered how those worked. So there's a guy in the UK who invents stuff like this. Okay, there's our inventor. So I've been in contact with him, and he's too busy inventing, and he doesn't want to give up any information about his product, but he invents. He invented a spirit box, and that's cool. Yeah, ghost boxes are spooky like in a Ouija board. The Ouija board has been around a very, very, very long time. Barnes, you got some socks. That's it. I hope they're very colorful. 3D printer. Wow. So Jason does a bit about UFOs, cryptids. You're in cryptid country, man. You're in Bigfoot land. What kind of scanner did you get, Jason? What's a Dybic box? What is that? DY. Whoops. It's a box. No, this can't be it. Oh, no. It's a wine box that's said to be haunted by a whatever. A restless, usually malicious spirit believed to be and haunt and even possess the living. The box gained notoriety when it was auctioned on eBay with an accompanying horror story written by Kevin Mannis in the original. Oh, it's from a movie. Okay. Yeah. And I looked that up too. I mean, that's on Wikipedia. I've looked that up. I don't even remember it because it's highlighted in pink. So interesting enough, what was that, like a year ago? And I don't know if anybody remembers this, but pronounced Dennis? That doesn't even look the same. Wow. Okay. So it must have been over a year ago. I had a couple of people that were selling so I looked at haunted objects on eBay. And there's a lot of haunted objects on eBay. Okay, yeah. So I bought some. And the reason really I bought it was because I thought, well, these people who are selling would love to be on a podcast and talk about haunted objects. And, that's a great idea. And so I never could, after at first, it's hard to get somebody's email because eBay doesn't let you send email addresses or phone numbers or whatever. So I had the return addresses from these items. So I contacted these women. So long story short, they never got on the podcast. Two of them had promised to do it and they never did. So the things came in the mail. I was going to give them away. But I had them. So here's the reason why I didn't give them away. It's because they came, I didn't open them, and I have a bench on my front porch, which is covered by a roof, and I had them under the bench, and I wouldn't bring them in the house. So they got rained on, and they were under there for months, and eventually the U.S. Postal Service, red, white, and blue, mostly white, red boxes became faded and yellow, and one was a doll that was missing like a leg and it didn't have an eye, and another one was a doll. I don't remember the details on the other doll, and they were both haunted. And not only were they haunted, the person who sold them to me gave me details with well, there's details on the eBay webpage. That's not a lot, but I mean, it had some specific details. And so they were sitting outside, and one day, I live very close to a place where you can dump your trash. We call it a green box site. So I don't have trash service, and I don't accumulate much trash, and I recycle a lot. So I don't get the chance to go to that place very often, but I just came home one day, threw them in the car, drove them to the green box site, and threw them away. And so 2 perfectly sealed up boxes with with haunted items in them. And, I just didn't want them in my house. I didn't want to open it. I didn't want to see what it was. But if I did the podcast, we would have opened them. And that was strange because when I mentioned, I said, I did little ads for them, and I was advertising a podcast because I had it nailed down one time. And I had so many messages, I said I was going to give it away, and all these people, they wanted it, and they were texting me and messaging me and wanting these 2 haunted items, which I was really surprised about that. So, hey, Chris, take care, man. Have a good night at work. Good morning at work. Yeah. He's got milked 250 cows in England, and it's a big day for that guy. Wow. Anyway, haunted items. So that's where we ended up. But I haven't forgot about it. It's still on my list. We will do a show about haunted items. That's cool, Jason. You got a trail cam. I love night vision. I wish I could go back to my hometown now with night vision. Tubi TV, I have that. Chris Chambers, why do I know that name? Oh, I had Jim Chambers on as a guest who, as a guest. Jim Chambers is okay. It was fun. It was very challenging. FYI, I try to put on a professional show all the time. Doesn't necessarily happen the way I want to all the time. For example, I have a very demanding life, and many of you probably don't know this, but I'm building a house behind my house. And that started during COVID, just because I thought I was going to have a lot of time on my hands, and it turned out I'm busier than I ever have been. So I started building the house. My neighbor was building one, and to use as a rental. And I had to ask him. I said, there's a lot of red tape involved in that, isn't there? Because no, there's not. He said, in where we live, you can have 2 hookups for sewer and water for your piece of property, and there's no paperwork involved. And I said, that's no way. That's not true. So I researched it, and it was like on a Friday, and it was absolutely true. And I started Saturday. So I started the next day. So that's kind of when what kind of thought I was going to wind down this podcast. I guess it was in May. Same time. So I started building this house. It's right behind here, and the roof is on it, and all the roofing's done. And tomorrow I'll be putting windows in it. And I'm not a home builder, but you can YouTube anything, and it's been challenging. And I have some people that I've known in the past who, I know a guy who can do concrete. So him and I did the foundation, and I had an old garage, and had to tear that down and recycled the wood, and it's going to be a nice place. And so I don't even know where I was going with this. Busy. So yeah, it's not like I have all this time, but I also have, children in sports, hockey, which is, keeps me moving. So, there's times when I get stuck somewhere and I got a podcast at 7 p.m. my time, and I literally get here at, normally I was expecting to be home at 4:30 or 5, have an hour to prepare and, write some stuff up, and maybe didn't get to you prior day, and I have no time at all. And so no questions. And obviously over the years, couple of years, I've been able to get better at that. But nonetheless, those turn out to be my favorite. And, I find myself preparing less and less just because there's a process and a standard operating procedure that we go through. But it's the fun part about doing the show is that challenge. And, once you started out with really, really looking for answers, that quest for knowledge, it just becomes innate. It was before, but it even is so much so afterwards. And it's a blast. So I want to thank everybody who has been part of this over the year or two, more than that. Thank you very much, and thanks for taking part and being such a great advocates of what we podcast about. And thank you for having that hunger, which totally shocked me. That hunger for more shows, and you guys don't get tired of it. And that was a huge surprise. I thought this would evolve into something totally different. And we haven't run out of people, and we never will, because the more I get into this, the more people I meet who are very interesting and who want to take part. So let me read this, what David just said. One moment. Oh, David says, as a psychologist and therapist, I've never been busier. Yeah, I believe that, man. Yeah, I got to wing it. It's fun to wing it. It's actually a blast. All right. So again, as I want to reiterate, thank you very much. Thanks for being part of it. We will get together again and do the live Facebook sessions, which can be very interesting. And what usually happens afterwards is people are surfing Facebook, and they see this, and they make a mad dash, and they start typing in questions. So from now until for 2 days, I'll get lots and lots of questions because people think they're watching it live, but they are not. So thanks, David House, David Ross. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Chris Barnes. Thank you, Sev, for popping in and checking us out. Thank you, Susan, Connor Nance, Rachel Davis, new. thanks, Dennis. Dennis is a guy that, he always reposts my stuff, and Dennis is super into sharing information, and he's been a real help. And thanks, Dave Emmons, who checked in, and Allison from Edmonton. She's going to be on the show coming up. Becky Sheehy, Allison Killingsworth, Jason Yamas, Nancy Thames. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her name. Zena, if you checked in, or Dave Powell. Dave Powell was just on the show. That was a fantastic show. So I didn't mention Dave Powell because I thought Dave Powell would be on here. But just let me take one more minute to talk about Dave Powell. His show is up there, and he did, we did a show, and, sorry, I'm trying to go to my website. So Dave Powell and I did a show about remote viewing. And if you go to my website, and I will post a link to the website in just a moment, about halfway down, you can see a little section called Remote Viewing with David Powell. So what you're looking at there is my target, and basically he told me to write David Powell's target, put a 4-digit number on there, and then put a thing, a place, a time, something in the past. Could have been anything. Could have been a hamster wheel. Could have been a big lighter. I did the Teal volcano that erupted in Batangas, Philippines, January 12th, 2020. And so he was going to remote view that and try to figure out what my target was. And long story short, I mean, he did mountains surrounded by water, a lot of trees, and then the first descriptive word he used was gray, and which was astounding because it used to be, and then he had green in other places, green and lush. Yeah, it was green and lush, and then it erupted, and then it turned all gray, which, and then he had other descriptive words. Basically, any of those words would describe a volcano, and but it wasn't, it wasn't Bugs Bunny, it wasn't whatever. I mean, it could have been anything. There's billions of things in the universe he could have chosen, or I could have chosen, and he hit that. So and with very little effort, because he didn't have time, and he was interrupted so many times that he kind of just gave up. And so that's what he came up with, and that's on the My Alien Life podcast portion of my website, which is like a 2-in-1 website. And right above that is the story of BJ Evans and links to that podcast. And BJ Evans, of course, worked at Area 51 and S4. And there's some photos there. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photos. And I have a couple of letters and some drawings that I'm going to do something with soon. So more on BJ Evans soon. It keeps getting weirder, and it did on Christmas Day, and about 4 days later, I got a letter in the mail from him. And talked about that earlier. If you're just joining us, listen to the full show. For everybody else who I didn't thank you for joining me. And thanks so much. And Happy New Year. And it's going to be a better year in many ways. But we're a little bit behind the 8 ball right now. So hopefully we can recover. And so thank you very much. Good night, everybody.